What's going on, everybody? This is JVB from the Post Game Report podcast and talking about games.com. And as always, thank you for viewing my videos. So I have the Order 1886 playing here. I was going to do like a technical review and break down every aspect of the game, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about it instead. Because there's really nothing that I can say that hasn't been already said. Now, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, because there has been both said in regards to the Order 1886. There have been some really cruel things said in regards to Ready at Dawn's new game, and there have been some really positive feedback. I'm on the positive side, of course, because I enjoyed the Order 1886 way more than I thought I would. I am extremely happy that I paid $60 with my hard-earned money, by the way, and I don't regret it. I bought it digitally. Some people laughed at the fact that I was buying it digitally, but they can all kiss my ass, because my experience is what matters most to me. Now, why did I have a great experience? Well, let me break down certain things. Number one, the game was not broken at launch. Number two, visuals. There's no secret, this game looks amazing. I played Rise Son of Rome. The Order 1886 looks better. But that's my opinion. You can disagree with me if you want. That's cool. Voice acting, soundtrack, gameplay, and story. The whole combination was great. I'm not going to say perfect. It was far from perfect, but far from average. Now, in the case of the Order 1886, it got below average scores from bigger websites, and I put that with a freaking air quotes, because some of these reviews, it was like the excuses they gave for giving it such a low score was really questionable. So we have a game like the Order 1886 that set a new standard for visuals. It set a new standard for cinematic experience. The gameplay is not broken. Yes, there are some QTEs, but it is nothing we haven't seen before. And yeah, sometimes the cutscenes, they will kick in when you least expect it or when you least wanted to. And that might take you away from it. And I believe the longest one might be 10 minutes long. I'm not sure. But those 10 minutes are part of the story. They're part of the game. So you're not viewing 10 minutes worth of cutscenes that has nothing to do with what's going on. Everything just blends well together. So we've seen the visuals. You're seeing it right now in this video. And I failed to mention that the load times with a game that is so graphically heavy, the load times are freaking minimal. So we got a lot of very impressive things going on here with the Order 1886. Yet, one website gave it a 1 out of 10. How the hell can that happen? We have a game that works out of the box, a game that sets a new standard for visuals, maybe even sound. Voice acting is way up there with some of my favorite titles, like The Last of Us, Uncharted, Halo. We have a game that has above average gameplay. Yeah, there are some times where you can't run when you want to run, and it's making you walk. They're setting a pace here. And if you're not, and I hate to say this, but if you're not patient enough to let everything just unfold the way Ready at Dawn intended it to do, then it's not the game for you. I'm not going to say that you're not giving it a proper chance, because some people just don't want that type of game, and that's understandable. But when I see a reviewer like in GameSpot, it sounded like he truly hated Ready at Dawn in the game. Like he really, I mean, the way he made it sound, it was as though this game was a piece of crap, and it's far from that. I went in it with an open mind. I was watching all the, or reading all the content at the orderexposed.com, which is an alternate reality website. And that was taking place in current time. So I was like, wait a minute. They're building up this story arc way before the game comes out, and I like that. It kind of reminds me of I Love Bees with Halo 2, which I was hooked on. So they had this campaign going. It was, live action videos where somebody found, for example, the Blackwater. They found weapons. It was uncovering all these secrets regarding the Order. And so, based on that, I was like, all right, this is right up my alley. I love these type of movies. So, I knew right away that I would enjoy the Order 1886. And that unless I saw from actual user feedback, unless I read or saw that there were gameplay issues that totally took you out of the game, that the game was unplayable, frame rates dropped, and blah, blah, blah. Unless I saw that, I was still going to pick it up. And lo and behold, based on some feedback from the UK, because overseas, the Order 1886 was being released early. So there were a lot of people, not just from the UK, but from different parts of the world that was playing the Order 1886 and leaving feedback at NeoGAF. And for the most part, everything was consistent. People were really impressed with the aspects that worked. A little disappointed with the length of time it took them to complete it. Now, I'm not going to lie. It took me maybe 8 hours. I don't know. I wasn't there with a stopwatch. I was too busy enjoying the freaking game. And I'm on my second playthrough. And even though I'm on my second playthrough, I'm still nervous when I get to certain parts. Even though I know what to expect. But that's how intense I got with this story. And the gameplay, I never once hid behind cover, aimed at an enemy, ran and jumped over an obstacle. I never once did any of those things and say, oh my god, this thing is broken. I didn't even think about it. That's when you know things are working well for a video game. When you don't even think about the controls, it eventually becomes second nature while you're playing the game. And of course, the Order 1886 is story-driven. There's no secret about that. It is story-driven. You need to pay attention to the story. And Ready at Dawn, whether they meant to do this or not, you can't skip the cutscenes. So they're making you become fully aware of what's going on in the story arc with 1886. Some people don't like that. I did. Because I wouldn't skip the cutscenes anyway. The voice acting was that good. The cutscenes were that impressive. And they weren't extremely long. Some were short, but they had something in there that tied the story. When you meet a Lycan, even now, when I'm meeting a Lycan, I get intense. Or it gets intense. I get a little nervous. And I'm not going to spoil some of the twists because it's worth finding out on your own. But even though somebody kind of spoiled some of the twists for me, I was really happy that happened. I was like, oh man, another layer of this story has been unfolded and shit is about to hit the fan. And yes, I was a little disappointed when it ended because I didn't want it to end. So I'm looking forward to a sequel, hopefully, based on the positive sales in the UK. Hopefully we get a sequel. When you think about the fact that this game was... there was a smear campaign against the Order 1886 that was really ridiculous. It was, a lot of Xbox fanboys, well, not fanboys, but fanatics, just harping on the fact that somebody finished this game in 5.5 hours, and that was it. This game was 5.5 hours, no matter how long it took you to play it, it was 5.5 hours because that guy said so. And with any fanatic, they're going to take the most negative and just try to pound that was... that negative is set in stone and that there's no way any positivity can come out of something. And that is exactly what was happening with the Order 1886. And I'm glad that, for the most part, I've seen lots of positive feedback from people who actually played it. There's really a lot of positive feedback. And yeah, I've seen some 6s, some 7s, I've even seen a few perfect scores for the Order. I'm not going to give it a perfect score. I'm not going to even give it a score. It's far from perfect, but there is something here with the Order 1886, the story, the character, Sir Galahad, and the rest of his knights. They're kick-ass, man. And there's so much potential with this franchise, with the story. The story could take place in any time frame. It can go from London to New York in present time. That is how the story ended, and that is, and this without giving away any spoilers, but that's just the way it ended. Now, with that being said, there were some things I didn't like. I didn't like, of course, that it ended so quickly. You know, 8 hours or whatever. That's 8 hours of my time. I'm a busy person, so it really didn't bother me. The cutscenes, yeah, I would have enjoyed not having the cutscenes jump in when I wanted to explore a little more. And speaking of exploration, I wanted to explore some of the scenery more. I wanted to get into doors and things of that sort, but we are talking about a home console, so maybe there are some restrictions with the PlayStation 4 that a lot of people don't want to admit. But it's a home console, and it's still early in its life cycle. So maybe with the next iteration of the Order 1886, maybe that becomes a possibility where we can have more exploration. So yeah, there were some negatives. There were some things. For example, the pace slowed down during certain points in the story that had to do with the story. But it was part of the storytelling process. So they had to slow things down a little bit. So some people might not like that, and I understand that. But you owe it to yourself to try this game. The Order 1886 is a freaking good game. I don't care what any professional reviewer says. But anyway, I'm JVB. Thank you for watching my videos. I'll talk to you next time.